going live. Sorry, I just hit that live button without much thinking about it. Visionaries Unlimited. We are here, and wow, it's a beautiful topic, and I want to state up front that in a way, I personally, and I let Maria speak for herself, do not come with a professional stand for what concerns to medicine and like the big pharma industry. If you want to give it a container that is usually a name, a label that is usually labeled by, it's it is very important that we bring our energies together to give it a new feeling, a new taste, a new effectiveness, a new face. Health and medicine, I mean, how do we keep ourselves healthy, and how do we integrate medicine into our lives without so, and here inevitably I'm putting my opinion already, without abusing, overusing medicines that in the end they always are external pieces. How do we use more of our inner mechanism, this effective, extremely powerful, really unknown machine, bio machine that we are? It can do so many things. It can do so much that we are not, like, broadly, like the broad society, let's say the streamline, have no idea. Without going too much specifics, I want to let the floor to Maria to enter into the topic together with me now. But it can eliminate venom and poison from bites of snakes or stings from fishes. It can raise and lowers the temperature, the body temperature on demand. It can do crazy things, this body. Oh my God, so divinely powerful and perfect. Yet we use external elements to do much of what it can do in situation where we wouldn't necessarily need it. And so I'm not excluding medicine. I am putting a conscious limit to its usage from my perspective. So this is the situation from how I see it, and I'm bringing the visionary's perspective, a visionary outlook at it, and see how can we change it. How can we bring value? How can we add the value to the industry? I'm also very conscious of the word changing it. It is more of adding value to it. Maria, please.
Yes. Thank you, dear. Welcome, everyone. So the first thing that I would like to share with you, you may already know this, is a
So
statistic.
try. I don't know what you're doing with your hand in this moment, but before, without your hand, I was hearing you good. Now I am not.
Okay. Let's see. I
Yeah,
thought the screen was
exactly.
moving a little bit because of the wind,
Perfect.
but okay.
Yeah, for some reason I
Um,
was hearing you. I was hearing much the wind with your hand there, because maybe it
okay.
was just sounding around it. Now I hear you well. Thank you. So, Maria.
So the 80% or around 80% in the latest research is that of our illnesses, health issues come from the mind, are actually unconsciously created by ourselves. So they're very much related in a way, as another way to put it, with mental health issues.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so the body is constantly suffering what is going on in our minds.
Can I ask you like clarification on this?
Sure.
So when you say like 80% of the illnesses come from the mind, would you say that the research you're referring to is stress related issues? So it's like
Is
the
what?
stress and the
Ah,
stress related. So 80%, because I feel I went into some similar research that states how, yeah, the 80-90% of all the illnesses, physical illnesses we experience are because of accumulated stress, and that's mental.
it's long term.
So
Yeah,
would it be the same?
long-term exposure to substances that the body is not meant to produce or to have active in the body for long
For long
periods
time.
of time. Exactly.
Yeah, like
So
cortisol, adrenaline,
exactly.
and those, like to keep them active the whole time. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Thank you for this.
So 80%, and now, so we have to go then back again, like why are we having all these mental health issues and many people suffering from mental health issues without being diagnosed? So they're constantly suffering from illnesses or diseases in the body, and they are prescribed a drug or any kind of treatment that should be appropriate to it, even of course at some point to go under surgery or whatever, but we are not identifying the problems at the right time and at its root. So what I see is that at least traditional medicine, modern medicine
Modern medicine,
is
yeah.
modern medicine
I always get
is
that.
is not solving the issues at its core, and all issues from all perspectives need to be solved at their core and even prevented. Like for me, and this is another aspect of a functional society, is that you work at such level of intelligence with nature and the universe that half of the issues that humanity has just disappear by themselves because you are not creating them. So if you don't work in an environment where there is a stress, or a society in general, or specific areas in humanity where the stress is to some extent somewhat normal, if you create environments where the stress is absolutely abnormal, we would just already be creating a society with not such high level of health issues.
Oh yeah,
Or
and
even
yeah.
the rates of cancer there is huge.
Yeah, yeah. Totally, Maria.
So that's
I'm
one
with you with this.
perspective to really look into.
I'm with you. I'm with you. And look, I mean, not talk of the other issues that we would solve in a stress-free society, but I mean, that's other industries. That's a topic for other industries. And yeah, sorry, I just got busy and I got surprised. um, so that's really what would happen if you go into understanding how much your mind indeed affects and tells, informs, inputs your body to create these neurotransmitters, these substances that
Hormones, yeah.
hormones that we induce the production of through drugs, or that we directly assume through drugs. Very often, for example, I mean, if you understand that you can manage it, that's one thing. Then, mm, context, circumstances that are not necessarily needed in our lives, that create that overstimulate the internal body environment, also create an input for the body to release those substances. Then we need practices like in my coaching, I'm literally learning that, and that's the basis of everything. Like how to regulate your body, understanding how your nervous system works, so that at any time where your body is stressed, your mind is stressed, your being is stressed, it receives a hit because of family issues, because of work related issues, because of traumatic accidents like on the roads. There's that trauma that happens and it stays inside of you, and it has a somatic expression, a physical expression. Modern medicine, God bless modern medicine for what it does, for the effectiveness of what it does, has that effectiveness at one level: the physical level, the somatic level, the biological level. So, in order to really embrace the whole being, holistic, and a holistic approach to medicine looks at the being in its whole and looks at the spirit and the energetics, and also the psyche of a human. So you go into psychosomatic. And so you cannot limit yourself to remove a tumor, a cancer, when you see one. You see a cancer, all right, you're scheduled in 3 months. Let's go and remove it. Cool. First of all, it's very invasive. And I've undergone some of that, and it's very invasive. Years after, I still have that that wound, and it hurts sometimes. Was a very good job, and so on and so forth. But I'm saying this just because it makes you understand that there's something more to be solved. There's what created it as a start. Are you taking into consideration that the legs are, I'm really broadening and making it so general that I apologize for any stomping on on knowledge or on disciplines that explain this better than what I'll do now. But it's so like, do you know that your legs are where you're going? Your arms are what you're doing. Your heart are how much you feel connected to it. Your mind is whether there's clarity. And if you don't have clarity, your sight gets blurry. If you if you if you have an internal conflict, you get an headache. You don't need an ibuprofen or how you might call it. If you're doing too much, this area might hurt. Responsibility sits on your shoulders. If you feel out of alignment, your heart, your lungs might suffer. Your legs, if you don't know where you're going, direction. So do you see all of this, and how is that integrated with the modern medicine um, practices, approaches? So we're just scratching the surface of another massive industry. We scratched it with education in a couple of episodes, and now we're scratching it in health and medicine. We just started dive into that, and we're really open to any external perspective, external feedback, external input about the topic that is massive and so in need for visionary, committed, unshakable humans who are willing to open, to lead the way, to show the way for a medicine of an enlightened species, of a conscious species, that looks at the root problems, so that the tumor, and I have a person in my family, she died. They removed the tumor. tumor came back. They did a transplant of bone marrow or whatever they do to solve the problem, and they removed the tumor again twice. Second time was gone, and they included a third person, with the second person, which was her daughter. And 1 year and a half later, she died because the tumor came back and it was kind of terminal. I mean, sounds ridiculous to me. Why haven't you looked at the whole of the being? So this is my take. Like, how do we integrate spirituality into medicine? It is happening already. It is happening at a much more concrete level, fortunately, than what I actually am informed of. We really flew into the topic out of intuition, and I bet we'll get even more and more informed and informations after this first scratching. But this terms to be a bit my question. That's my direction. What's yours? And Maria, what's your direction? Mine would be integration of spirituality and modern medicine, like in these very raw, crude terms, medicine and spirituality. How do we bring them together? That's for me a way. What is it for you, visionary listening? What is it for you, Maria?
I find it in the short term quite difficult, as there is very strong resistance. People have been raised like it would be more in the part of like traditional scientists, and who have never experienced themselves as energy. So because I've heard this many times, like, I don't believe in alternative medicine. Yes, but it's not a matter of believing or not believing. It's firstly a matter of understanding or not understanding. And if you're not open to understand, for sure, you're not going to understand. And so we have these barriers still in society of, on the one hand, is the science and what is proved, that is real, that is true. And then we have anything else that, from the perspective of those, and I'm generalizing, but from those who have a scientific approach to life, and is this regarded as good enough, appropriate enough, valuable enough, or even trustworthy. But until those who are here are not open to understand the human being as energy, I'm not even talking about spirituality, even just understanding the human being as the complex energetic being that it is, and a holistic, properly holistic approach of the human being, there is not much they can do for others. Because even when at school you say we should learn more about the human body, absolutely, well, and the mind, that's unquestionable. But if those who are in many places in charge of society, of what is meant to go, if they are non-religious countries, what is meant, the children are meant to study at school, comes more from a scientific branch, what you get from them is very limited. It's very limited because the understanding of the human being is very limited. It's very, very physical. It's into the matter only. So, and these cannot solve the problems that we have already in society in relation to health issues. So until there is a profound understanding, this cannot get to the children, and we're still solving problems when we are too far in the problem where the tumor is already in. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. And absolutely grateful that surgery exists. I had to make use of surgery last year, and I'm very grateful for it. I would have loved to be able to overcome the issue that I had in a more natural way, but it was not possible. because it was too late and I didn't have enough experience and knowledge of my body and mastery of my energy yet. Um, but absolutely, that is something that is necessary in humanity, for
Yeah.
sure.
You know, wow. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Maria. Vulnerably, like, open about
Yes, of
that.
course.
And there are 3 points here. One is about the education point and the fact that every industry is so intertwined, which is beautiful, and it's crazy how much they touch each other. Knowledge of the body. Knowledge of the body brings to a very simple matter of convenience of whoever leads the industry to keep it as it is, and this gets into another industry eventually, and like governance and politics eventually. It gets a little
Yes.
bit into that. Um, touches corporations and business itself, but without going in there too much. Education, what would we need to teach the kids so that medicine can be used and not abused? Okay, one question, very simple question. What can we teach our kids so that medicine doesn't need to be abused? Because as I got, and I'll tell you what about, as I got my surgery when I was, I think, I was 16-year-old. I was 16 years old. I got that surgery, um, and I had no idea of alternatives of how else I could treat it.
Yes. Yeah.
And I have the same thing on the other side, because there was, I don't know how to say that, but maybe it makes sense in English. So I'll go with the word and then I explain. Congenital. It was
Oh
from
yes. Yes.
birth, and
Okay.
it was
Yes.
overexerted through exercise. It was an inguinal. I don't know what I'm going here with, like, with words, but it was
In
an
the
inguinal
translation.
hernia,
Okay.
at
Yes.
the
Yes. Yes. Yes.
at
Yes. I understand.
like there below, um, and it just came out because I overexerted it. Now
Uh-huh.
later, like 5 years later, maybe more than 5, 6, 7 years later, I had yoga. I had yoga. The others started coming up because the intestines creed net was getting weaker. It started coming out, and I was like, "No, man, no, no, no way! I am going into surgery again. What can I do?" I just actually Googled. It's like, yoga's great. Yoga's great. Yoga's great. Cool. I'm doing yoga. Let's do yoga. And was right about right before going into
That's why
yoga
you
teacher training.
started.
No, 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 no. I was doing
Okay.
it already. I was doing it already.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but that was, for example, a great, like when you reinforce the reason why you're doing it, when you reinforce it, because I started doing yoga, I reinforced, I balanced the energies. I felt it really energetically, balancing the energies in that area,
And matter as
making it
well.
more steady. And like from a biological, biomechanical perspective, the muscles got stronger and are withholding the actual thing. And I had to work through whatever psychic energetic reason I had to express such an illness into my soma, into my physical body. And so that was one thing. And look at this, I didn't have alternatives. I want to say, um and this is the third point, alternative medicine shouldn't be named, and this is a realization I had now, shouldn't be named alternative, shouldn't be an alternative. That's exclusive. It excludes modern. But modern is so powerful and so accurate into the knowledge of what we are. So I'm not excluding it. What I'm a bit maybe running not for is the pharmaceutical aspect, and that's an industry. That's pure industry from my humble perspective. But medicine and whatever else, whatever tradition should be integrated. So alternative. Yeah, have you tried some alternative medicines? Like, I don't actually want to try any alternative medicine. I want to feel safe to go to my medician, my doctor, and to know that his perspective, her perspective, is so open by um, by formation, by education, by training, that she wants to integrate other ways. She wants to hear about the other ways, because a surgery might be needed. At the beginning, some painkillers might be absolutely required. But if I go to someone and I have a problem and they say, okay, it's all good, take this and you're good. Okay, for how long? For your own life, for your whole life. Keep taking it. It will numb your feelings. No pain. Maybe 50 years from now, you'll have something below that. What? And I heard that from doctors, like that's their approach. That's their normal. Like, okay, you take this, go and buy it every week. You won't die. That's unacceptable. That's pulling the dust below the carpet just because you don't want to clean. And this starts going into, I don't know where, but that's what medicine needs to accept. It's not the only one, and it's not about the there you go again.
Well, that in other parts of the world, what we call here alternative, in the Western world, I mean, what we call Europe in particular, what we call here, what is alternative medicine, in other parts of the world, it may not be called alternative medicine.
Alternative, no.
But at least we're talking about modern Western countries, primarily here.
Yes.
In this respect. And there it goes back to the ignorance of the self, of our connection to the universe, the ignorance of the connection between matter and energy. And by the way, I don't mean to sound like I think of myself as an expert. I am in the constant exploration of these fascinating aspects of life, because otherwise, what do I do? Am I always looking for someone else to solve my problems? Am I constantly creating problems without knowing that I'm creating problems for my life, for myself, for my whole life? Because I'm just so ignorant of my body, my mind, my connection to the universe, my connection to other humans and creatures. So yeah, the society in a way, it raises us to look constantly for help outside of us, and to be constantly solving problems that are created by the way society is built.
Yeah, it's a cycle. It's a vicious cycle indeed.
Yeah.
You go out there,
Yes.
you eat too many, I don't know, donuts, blood sugars goes high, sugar, and you need something to tame it. And it's like, I maybe need not to consume the outer, and that would stop the problem. Yeah, there's that whole vicious cycle. It's interesting. And yeah, and then it goes into food and agriculture, how we're not, that's another industry, how we're not eating balanced and healthy, how it's very powerful. So, dear visionaries, today we were scratching the surface of this
approach,
massive conversation about health and medicine. We're seeking to bring in more high level, expert, professional conversation and debate about how to expand this industry, this field of our human civilization. And so if you have an idea, if you have someone to recommend, let us know. But this is really needed, that we rethink the way humanity operates in this field, health medicine, how not to have alternative medicines, but to have a holistically integrated way of dealing with the body, the mind, the emotions, the energy, the soul of the being in its whole. And that's it, I would say, very simplistically. That's it. Which is
Yeah,
much more than
someone
just
told me a few years ago that the body is the best pharmacy that
go again,
exists.
go again with that sentence.
That someone told me a few years ago that the body is the best pharmacy
Wow, yeah,
that exists.
I
If you
agree.
allow it to do, if you allow it to do its own work, and you contribute to it being like the good pharmacy that it already is to
Yeah,
supply to you. Well, so long as you are helping the body, because the body cannot do miracles if you are, for example, eating rubbish. So you need to understand that, for example,
Y-
that
y-
have consequences, yes or yes. So it can be a great pharmacy if you allow it to be a great pharmacy and you are not introducing um, negative input into this
yeah, you need to be a good furniture, a good. I
biological
mean, you
machine.
need to, yeah, you need to refurbish it properly, right?
See, take
Otherwise
care of it. Yes,
it builds with what you give it.
yes,
That's what the body does. And so, my dears, with
yes.
this wonderful moment, we want to say goodbye to you. Expect us to go deeper into the topic, because it's much needed. Your input is much needed. It's really welcomed. So let us know. Let us know what you believe about this industry and how it should be approached to bring innovation, conscious expansion into it. And like every single day, stay visionary, keep building it. We're with you. Oh, didn't hear much here, Maria.
Um, I said we love you. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Yes, we love you.